Hi everyone. I just wanted to do a short video on my very strange interactions with the Anti-Social Justice Warrior Facebook group, which I really think that it's time to leave because I can't even agree with the mods or disagree with them or anything without them blocking me instantly. And it just happened about an hour ago. So I just like to make a few comments about the direction that I think this group is going and how it's been, in my opinion, co-opted, corrupted, by other forces that seek to use the power this group has gained over the years because it has over 10,000 members. And they are just using this opportunity to push very strange politics, which I don't think have any place in this group, at least what this description of the group talks about, where it says this group advocates for freedom of speech, egalitarianism, critical thought, and an open exchange of ideas. We are fundamentally opposed to identity politics, interactionality, and the fostering of victimhood. We are anti-authoritarian, both left and right. We are anti-social justice warrior. And you can see here that they go to great lengths to create a header that shows a whole bunch of people that are on the far left and say, oh, well, this is the people that we oppose, I guess. And it even names them all: Zoe Quinn, Jessica Valenti, Kate Smurthwaite, Kevin Logan, Steve Shives, Shanti Binks, Clemente Ford, Lena Dunham, Brianna Wu, and Anita Sarkeesian. So this group was invented originally with the purpose clearly to go against social justice warriors. And I think that unfortunately, when it gained some, just like most things do, when they gain a certain amount of power and following, they tend to lean far left for some reason. And I can go into that in another video, but this is very interesting. So I want to go into this. So earlier today, about an hour ago, I had another interaction, another unfortunate interaction with this ridiculous mod. His name is Haterade Gray, I guess. Obviously, it's a pseudonym, but this person is the moderator of this group now. So he posted something. He said, "This is what a TVW fuckboy looks like," which is pretty much the most of right wingers lurking on this page. So it's clearly you can see he has something against right wingers in general, which is kind of odd for this kind of group. But I get there's a social justice types that are the equivalent of social justice on the right as well, like Laura Loomer and other people, which I disagree with. And I think they shouldn't mirror image the type of tactics that the social justice people do, because not all of those tactics are successful or ethical or anything. So I don't think that they should do those things. So he posts a picture of Peter Sweden's post, and he says, Peter Sweden saying, due to the severe lack of freedom of speech and democracy in the UK, I have now moved to Norway. And then he talks a whole bunch of stuff, and then he basically is hypocritical because he says at the end, I got a letter from the Norwegian army. They want me to sign up for military duty in Norway. All men and women have military duty. No thanks, not happy about this. So I think that's kind of funny. It's like ridiculous, kind of to be, to assume that a country like Norway wouldn't require, like you didn't even look it up before you moved there, like require military service from its own citizens. I mean, I don't. I'm actually against mandatory conscriptions, but I definitely don't think that he should have moved there if he didn't understand like what he was doing. So that was a mistake. And I'm not really a fan of Peter Sweden. I don't follow him on Twitter or anything. I think that he's kind of a weird person, and he doesn't really align with my politics necessarily. So I'm not a fan of him. So in this comment, I basically said yes, Norway is better than Sweden, which is going down a path of self-destruction. You don't hear about grenade attacks in Norway. At least I haven't heard of as much insanity taking place there. I just don't think Peter Sweden is a reliable source. He just tweets strange, incoherent things, which is why I don't follow him. So clearly I'm showing that I'm not in support of him. And this Haterade Gray mod comes in immediately and says, well, we all know you'd instantly suck his dick, Julian. Don't try and hide it. And then he bans me from the group. Like you can see, he's banned my commenting again. So I don't have the capacity to respond to him. They turned off my ability to comment. And they do this every single time I have anything to say. Even in this case, when I'm agreeing with him for the most part, I'm saying, yeah, Peter Sweden is not someone that I would follow. I think he's kind of incoherent. But it doesn't matter. Oh no, I must be on his side because reasons. I don't know, because he's just stereotyped me as this particular person. And this is not the first interaction that I've had with this person, which has been extremely negative, because this particular mod and all the mods that I've seen so far now that run this group have gone so far left wing that they don't have any understanding of what the original group is designed to do. Like, do you see any right wingers on here? Do you see any kind of balance? Do you see any? No. There's a whole bunch of social justice people from the left. So what exactly? And this whole time it's supposed to be about freedom of speech, but apparently not my freedom of speech. I'm not allowed to comment. I'm not allowed to disagree with them or even agree with them without them trying to misrepresent me. So this is going back to one of the old arguments I had with this person because I felt like it was important to highlight the fact that this person is completely unstable and crazy, and they should not be in charge of this group. It's ridiculous that they would even. I mean, other than the fact that they are co-opting this group. Sorry, bunnies are making noise. Other than the fact that they're co-opting this group, I don't see why you would even be involved in an anti-social justice warrior group if you're pro Antifa and you're pro not pro communism but clearly pro far left ideas. So this guy posted an article from NPR that says dozens of Westerners join Kurds to fight ISIS in Syria, and you can see the ISIS flag right there. So I mean, sorry, you can see the Antifa flag. Sorry, they're the same thing, I guess, but different versions of it. But lots of bunny noises. And basically, he says that awkward moment when Antifa walks the walk that conservatives scream about doing when they play their rough game guy routine online. So clearly, he's denigrating conservatives. He's denigrating right wingers. And he's saying, oh, Antifa is walking the walk because they're fighting terrorism. Well, first of all, I don't necessarily think that going to Syria and fighting with, random forces that are unorganized, it basically means that you're, opposing fascism or you're opposing ISIS. I don't agree with that. I think a lot of the people that fight, that are the quote unquote rebels in Syria, are actually pro Islam, pro ISIS, and they don't actually care about secularism or human rights or women's rights or anything. So it's not really like they care about that kind of stuff. So, in the midst of this conversation, which is one of the most negative conversations I've ever had with a mod, this guy jumps on and says that I'm that, and then people start defending me because I disagree with him, and I say, well, you're crazy for saying this stuff. And then he says, because I'm Ukrainian, right? He says, clearly your low level Ukrainian intellect shines often. All that radiation from Chernobyl must have fried your brain cells down your bloodline. And then he says, pity you didn't starve so nobody would have to hear you cry like a bitch you are with that sense of entitlement. And then other people start calling him out saying, you mad? Like, what? Why would you even say that? Like, it's a pretty insane thing to say, to hope someone gets gulagged basically for their opinions. That's a pretty leftist agenda. And then he says, he keeps going off on me and saying that I'm a horrible person. And I said, if you think that opposing communists makes you alt-right, then this group has truly lost its way. Any decent person should be against communism, nothing to do with right-wingers or any other of the buzzwords that you throw around while accusing me of doing the same. And basically after that, he bans me and gets angry. But he basically, at one point, I called him out for this because I thought that it was insane that he was supporting this kind of agenda. And he responds to me and says, just because I post an article with a picture that triggered you doesn't mean I'm a communist. But watching your self-entitled retarded self get rustled is hilarious because you don't realize how much of a sensitive snowflake you are. No tears, only gulag for you now, Kulak. So multiple times he said he hopes that I die, and he hopes that I go to gulag because I'm Ukrainian. And I really think that this person is speaking like a communist, is talking like a communist, is using their jokes, using their talking points. But this person is a moderator on anti-social justice page. It makes no sense. And the other mods jump in and defend him as well. So it's not like this is a one-off situation. There's other mods. I think his name is Shane Phillips or something like that. He comes in as well and says, this is ridiculous. Like, like more social justice talk, and these people are essentially being horrible, ridiculous communist sympathizers. Like, I understand that you don't like SJW type people. I get that. I get that you don't like the left and the right authoritarianism. That's fine. But hoping someone dies and goes to a gulag because they disagree with you, and then banning them and preventing them from responding, even when I agreed with him, seems to be extreme in my opinion. And I think that this page has lost its way, the same way that libertarianism and atheism plus became, in my opinion, they totally lost their way because they don't seem to understand the core tenets of their own value system, because they seem to think that being anti-right wing is somehow a way to balance the system, and I don't understand that. I mean, if the point was is that the mainstream has gone far left, and they don't allow freedom of speech, and they don't allow people to disagree with each other without banning them. Well, I think the worst thing you can possibly do is to go ban people that have opinions you disagree with. So I think that this group has totally lost its way, and I'm pretty much done with it. I have had more than enough of my fair share of arguments with these people. I've tried to be reasonable, and not all the time. I've tried to be reasonable. Like I said, I'll put that stipulation in there that I've attempted to be reasonable. Although I have said things that I regret. I've made a bunch of comments to them saying you're a cuck, you're a communist, etc. Whatever these kind of things, like, and then that they don't deserve to be mods. And I think that that probably angered them. But as far as I can see, a lot of the people on the page actually agreed with me when I made these statements, and I don't think very many people agreed with them, because I think that the way that this group was set out has deviated so far from the place that it is now, that I don't think that it has any resemblance to the old free speech type of movement that it resembles. So if this is what social justice has morphed, anti-social justice has morphed into, which is kind of like an adjunct part of social justice itself, I think that it's ridiculous. And to say to people that if you advocate against communism, that makes you alt-right, I think that is ridiculous. And that the fact that they wish to say these kind of things about me and to hope that I die because I'm Ukrainian and to say all these derogatory things, I don't understand it, and it's really disappointing to see the way that some of these groups are going, because it doesn't show any kind of personal evolution on their part. It shows that they are bringing out their true colors. So I think that at the end of the day, I'm going to leave this group. I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely had my time there. I've had my laughs. I've met some good people there. You know, they have over 10,000 members, so you used to be able to get a good variety of opinions. But I honestly can't tolerate this banning, this constant banning that they have done to me, maybe 4 or 5 times now, every time I disagree with them and call them out. So I guess if you want to support a page that has no resemblance to what its prime directives are supposed to be, I guess go ahead and follow this group. But if you don't, and if you actually are aware of what's going on in this group, I would suggest that other people check it out too and realize that, and find out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go look and see that these mods have gone completely insane. They're advocating for violence and gulag concentration camps against people that disagree with them, simply for holding common sense positions like that communism is antithetical to freedom. Well, I think that it is in a lot of ways, because I think that the kind of freedom that they're looking into is a redistributionist violent revolution, which I think goes totally against any kind of free or peaceful society, because it demands the non-voluntary redistribution of resources against people's will. So, and there's no way to go around it other than a violent revolution. And they support Antifa. So I'm not really sure how you can be anti-social justice on one hand, but then also pro-Antifa on the other, and calling conservatives cucks and everything. But then, how dare you question us? So I think that their position is quite not solid at all. They're on very thin ice ideologically speaking, and I think that it's time for them to be called out. So I'm leaving this group, and I hope other people do the same. Anyways, thanks, and go do your own research on this topic. And I think that this might show that the anti-social justice warrior movement has become too big and has taken in too many people, that it actually seeks to shift to a more leftist agenda in order to either avoid Facebook censorship or to just promote itself and to gain more groups and more followers, rather than actually sticking to its original agenda. So if you want to change your group to the Antifa supporting group, then go ahead, do it. But if you think that people deserve free speech, you probably shouldn't ban people for disagreeing with you. So thank you very much, and have a good day.